Hello, we are live. Welcome to Happy Foot, Sad Foot. I'm Darren Miller.
And I'm Travis Hellwig.
Welcome to the hangover edition of the post-game live stream from last night's El Tráfico match. What an incredible game, incredible ending.
Darren,
LAFC
I'm still riding high. I am buzzing right now.
The last second, it seemed like, at the buzzer, if you will, comeback from LAFC. Just what an amazing match.
I have to say, from start to finish, enjoyed myself, edge of my seat, had a great time. That Hollingshead goal to win
the header
was unbelievable.
Incredible.
Unbelievable.
Can you believe he pulled that off?
Can you?
There was a minute left. We were down one. We somehow pulled out 2 goals.
Yeah, well, Nathan Ardaz did not swing and miss. He hit it right into the back of the net, and boy, was it incredible to see.
I would never have thought of the idea of him whiffing.
Oh, he would never.
He was right in front of the goal.
He would never. Well,
anyway.
I rewatched the game this morning because I woke up early, and when he did that, I feel so bad. I hope he doesn't watch the replay because Ryan Hollingshead and Carlos Vela both go right behind him. They go. If you're listening, I made a face with my, like when there's the monkey who's holding its head emoji
in the moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, all of that we completely made up. None of that happened. We got our asses handed to us.
Darren and I were very excited about that bid, and I don't think it was worth it.
We were doing it in the car after, I think, just to dampen the stabbing of the loss.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a bad one. That was a bad one. I think we are, we've talked about this a lot. This has been an unbelievably terrible stretch for the team. A demoralizing loss last night. I'm happy we chose to do this in the morning because I would have been much more upset I'm still not happy, but I did not want to talk about that game last night.
Yeah. And we didn't.
We did kind of drive home in silence.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep. as was that's I think what was called for.
I'm so happy. Hold on.
That's the saddest I've ever been that's the saddest I've ever been to fireworks. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say that we have a Galaxy troll in the chat, and I'm so excited. I've waited for this day where people didn't like that we said the Rose Bowl sucks on Twitter, and they called us. Yeah. Well, let's be honest. That was not a fun. Even if we won, the logistical experience was a nightmare. I don't know if it was different on the Galaxy end, but it was not fun getting in and out of that stadium.
No, I thought I was being very clever by going super early with my family to the southern part of the whole park to hang out there. And then they went home and I walked from all the way. This is that much walking to not be worth it in the end for the win. Oh my God. I'll lead off. My sad foot is my actual feet. I am meant to be a sedentary person. That was way too much walking. I finally got to the Rose Bowl. Then I was walking all the way around it. Then we were in line forever. Then we had to get to our seat. You guys know what a stadium is, right? That's what it's like to be in a stadium.
You guys have been to. Everyone in the chat was at the game. I mean, we don't have to explain. The people who are excited enough to be here. All right, we met a bunch of cool people.
We have a special guest here.
And we have some guests waiting to come on, but we want to get to the smartest man in LAFC. He is the one, the only, Dr. Vince LaRosa. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here, Doctor.
Thank you, guys. I do have to, I apologize. I'm going to have to admonish you guys right off the top because how dare you? A day after America celebrates what is the most factually and almost understated holiday of all time, that you come out and you glorify a result in a way that is just, I'll say it, it's whitewashing. And I do not appreciate it one bit because we need to tell the people exactly what happened. And you guys just come right out and try to change the narrative.
No,
as if
history is written by the winners.
Yes.
And we won MLS Cup last year, so we can say whatever we want.
That's what they don't say is history is written by the winners, but you can rewrite the history to be the winners, and then you get to write history.
Yes. And I would say Stipe Buke is our Christopher Columbus. And I just want to make that clear.
Oh, God.
Well, I'll start
Jeff
by
Talk is on deck, warming up.
yes.
He's ready to go.
So I'm going to start by admonishing you guys, and then I'm going to turn it and I'm going to make a confession. I think, Travis, you're going to like this confession more than anybody ever in the history of LAFC fans will like it. I bought this kit, and I've only worn it a couple of times, but every single time that I wear it when LAFC plays, they have lost. And I just want to state that for everybody, and I apologize.
Oh my gosh.
And for punishment, I'm continuing to wear it today. And if you guys know anything about polyester,
oh yeah,
boy, does it smell good 24 hours later, or even 12 hours later. Actually, take that back. 2 hours later.
Yeah.
2 hours after you put this thing on, it doesn't matter how crisp and clean you are coming out of the shower. You might spray as much cologne as a professional soccer player does, but you will still smell in this jersey. And I do.
I got home from the game last night in my black kit, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not wearing this on Saturday. Like, I don't want to wash it and have it get ruined. So I've been dry cleaning them, and then it takes for whatever. That's not important. Let's talk about the game.
Were you? Let's just say this: were you even able to walk into your house, or your wife was like, "No, put that outside. Just get that outside right now." She
knew that that I was too sad to admonish for anything last night. Well, Vince.
Well, I think we should actually
it?
keep avoiding talking about the game.
Right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well.
Okay. I want to talk about right off the bat the thing that I saw a lot of conversation about yesterday. Erik Dueñas. A lot of people were very upset about him starting at right back.
Why?
And he seemed in over his head at times. Both of the goals were maybe his fault, but when I sat and looked at what the options were this morning, I'm like, I don't know who else we could have played there. Acosta wasn't ready enough. Like, he came out at half. He clearly isn't healthy enough to play a full game at right back. I don't know. I obviously don't think Dueñas did a great job, but I don't know what other options we had. Vince, you're smart and you are good friends with everyone on the team. Tell us what the truth is.
Well, I know we want to block it all out of our minds because it was around the pandemic, but don't forget, Erik Dueñas came into the league as a right back. And everyone was so excited when 15-year-old Erik Dueñas took the field against, I believe, the Vancouver Whitecaps. And he played right back. So it actually did surprise me as the amount of people that when the starting lineup came out were like, oh my God, Dueñas is going to play right back. And I was like, wait, am I the only one remembering this? Like, it's actually kind of crazier that he now plays central midfield and does it at a fairly, reasonable level. I mean, he's 18. Come on. I mean, and he went up against Douglas Costa, who, has been one of the biggest busts as a DP signing ever, but he's still physically a specimen and is an incredible dribbler. And yes, he, as an 18-year-old, got found out by Tyler Boyd in that moment. There is, and you rewatch it again, and it's one of those things where, like, you're not going to get that call, Erik, but, like, he did get kind of a hand to the face. In which kind of slowed him down from closing him down. But again, you're not going to get that call. And he learned a valuable lesson. But to your point, Travis, like, what were the options? Like, I know a lot of people are talking about it. Like, where's LAFC's depth? Like, everyone's gone. Aaron Long's international duty. Mario Palencia injured. Cheeky cannot play because of a yellow card. Like, that's four starting caliber defenders all in the same area too.
We were furious when Sanchez played defense a few weeks ago too, because he got fucking cooked. It's like Dueñas at least has the speed. He's clearly too small for that at this point.
And keep in mind, this is not LAFC being like, oh, we're stubborn. We can do things different from all of you. No, this is the constraints of the league. So it's not, and LAFC has brought it up, and I brought it up, and I think you guys have brought it up. Like, the team's tired, and also they wish they could have a deeper roster. I just said it again, but I wish we didn't have to say it again. But unfortunately, that's all I really have for you, because there's no way you can convince me that this team is all of a sudden garbage. It's just, there's no real other explanation. Now, I could be proven wrong by the end of the season, but I have faith, and I guess you're going to have to go with me on this one, that having watched them just steamroll the league and go to the CONCACAF Champions League in absolute style, to be disappointed and deal with that disappointment, and now deal with the extra games, deal with all that. and be in a bit of a rut, like you're going to have to go with me that they're going to be okay once they're able to get some rest and maybe look, the transfer window opens today. Yay. Let's celebrate the transfer window. It's open today.
Happy foot.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to get Cristiano Ronaldo. I've seen some tweets. Is he allowed in America?
Yeah. I don't even know if you want that. The statute of limitations may not have lapsed in that. But look, they're going to make some things. I would say this is just as like a transfer primer. What I have heard and what I know is people have to go for people to come in. They need to have some kind of injection of money, not real money, MLS funny money, in order to make some salary cap moves. So keep that in mind. But yeah, celebrate July 5th transfer. I mean, no one cares about the games. It's all about who's going to be on your team, right?
Right. Well, I don't. Yeah, I think of it as playing cards. I don't watch the games. I like collecting.
Pokemon.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
I love Pokemon.
Yeah. Can we take a Sifu and what is his next level?
That's true.
Scottish Sifu. Speaking of Vince, you don't have to say anything, but you get a sense that players might be on the out soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree that there's certain players that maybe like their time has come, and not for their fault. Like LAFC don't forget LAFC sells them on this. You're a South American player, you're a hot shot. You're like, man, I could maybe go to Europe right away, but I might not be quite ready. LAFC says, come here. We'll get you that next step a little, so that when you do go to Europe, you'll be that much more prepared. And they say, well, I mean, how long were we talking? And I'm sure there's a timeline spoken about, like, hey, we kind of think that you need this much time, and then we'll start to look at it. So this is not a bug. It is a feature of the system for LAFC, and it's something that you should get used to. But it's still tough when your favorite player. But maybe you saved up all your money and you finally bought that jersey you really wanted with your favorite player's name on the back, and they might not be around.
Adam Conover is very happy because he has a Mamadou Fall jersey.
And
so happy that he gets to use it again.
He's back, baby. And speaking of the transfer window opening, Mamadou Fall is available to play this weekend.
Woo! We made news.
Oh, breaking news.
Clip it.
We did it.
Let's bring on heel of the foot. Jeff Talk was here before any of us.
He was. Well, not me. Listen, I was here set the live stream.
Making me
was here.
Guys. Yeah. Well, I think it's important, first off, to say that everybody says that this is a comedy podcast, right? But I think it's also important to say that opening bit proves that it's not just a comedy podcast. It can also not be funny.
Jeff,
so it's a little
I wish you nothing but the worst.
Jeff, why are you stationary? Why aren't you driving in the car?
I'm going to do a TikTok after this about how Joe Biden's for gas prices. And also, is feminism good? Who knows? You know what I mean? So that's a packed schedule.
The official setting of those TikToks.
Anyone who's watching on YouTube that doesn't know about this podcast doesn't know that these four white guys are joking about that.
Are we?
Yeah. The joke there is that's not what any of us think.
All right, Jeff, tell us your bad opinions so we can kick you up.
Mm-hmm. You got to come in now because all my opinions are great, but I'll give you some good opinions even though you don't want them. It's a little awkward because Vince is here. I know Vince knows all these guys, and so I want you, Vince, to know that I know that I'm being injured by getting mad about this. But we absolutely have roster constraints in MLS, right? Like, this is absolutely a total thing. This is one of the main frustrations of being a team of in a league that has a salary cap, is that we can't do everything we want to do. And I understand it. Like, listen, Dueñas, you can't blame Dueñas. He's 18. He's playing right back. He's not been playing right back all the time. If anybody's going to get mad at an 18-year-old kid, the problem is the team that puts an 8-year-old kid in the position where he's going to go up against Douglas Costa. That's insane. Like, that is not what a winning team is going to do, is put these kids in positions where they're going to lose. The other thing that's frustrating for me, not only for this game, but also for the CCL final, was we don't have a striker. And we can talk about it the same way we talked about it last time. We can talk about it in a funny way. It doesn't matter. We don't have a striker. We didn't have a striker in the CCL final. We don't have a striker tonight. And ultimately, it's great that we got that set piece goal. And I think that's really good that we can read set pieces. But did we look dangerous outside of Carlos Vela being 15 yards offside and putting one past the keeper? Like, he didn't. And that's the frustration for me, is not that we don't have the depth that we want, but we don't have one striker. We don't even have Danny Musovski guys. We don't even have these corny USL white guys that we used to have. We got nobody, man. We don't have ironic mustache Cal Jennings, who was repping for us as the hipster crowd, right? The hipster representation for us as fans. It's abysmal. And that's my sad for it, is ultimately we knew
that we
that
don't
needed
have
to
Cal
replace-
Jennings.
No,
I was-
that we're
I was
not
about to
even
say, how
trying to get
dare
Cal
you?
Jennings.
How dare you
Cal Jennings
slander the backup rhythm section of the Allman Brothers, Cal Jennings?
Listen, guys, he's going to serve us great drinks at La Cita later. It's going to be fine. But like, my point is, like, we knew that we didn't have this guy after Chicho left, and I'm not even that dude of like, we have to sell people. Like, people have to move on, right? Like, Chicho needs to leave. Like, that's the model of the club. Like Vince said, like, we're going to take these South American guys, and we're going to put them in better positions. We're going to get money or whatever. And so, like, when people leave, that's okay. That's what we're supposed to do. But you're supposed to replace them. And like all this stuff about like Chicho doesn't fit the system, Chicho doesn't play defense well enough, like whatever. Like Carlos Vela doesn't like fit that pressing system. Like, we keep him around. And so like, if you're gonna get rid of a guy because he doesn't play defense, and your solution is to bring in nobody and to play like Stipe Buke at the 9, who I like. Stipe
I was
Buke's great.
gonna
I think
say-
he's gonna be a really good player.
Wow,
But like,
wow.
you can't have Steve. Like, you can't have 3 wingers on your and you're attacking 3 and think that you're gonna get a spectacular result against 82,000 people in the Rose Bowl. It's not gonna happen. And that's my ultimate frustration. Is John Thornton, for all of his wizardry, couldn't figure out a way to get us a striker. And here's where we end. Is that we end it with me not being funny because I'm so fucking mad. You know what I mean? And proving again that this is not a comedy podcast. This is
I just want to say that's the first time we felt like a real sports radio show. It's
Yeah,
just
that
a
was like
man
a
in his
real-
car screaming for 10 minutes. I agree with everything you said.
A real
It's
sharp
crazy.
rant.
It's crazy we don't have a striker. I know that we didn't need one earlier in the season, but it's obvious now that teams will overload on Denny Bouanga. And when that happens, we lack real creativity up front and no one is finishing. And also, I've noticed, I don't want to talk shit about Denny Bouanga, but he's made some really dumb decisions lately where he, I think, doesn't trust the other people up front. And is like in that opening minute, he decided to shoot at a really weird angle instead of passing it to Opoku, who was wide open in the center. And that's because I think he doesn't trust everyone else to finish at this moment. I'm not saying that he's not our best player, but he is not making great decisions like he used to make.
But Travis, how awesome was it that then Mahala in the second half decided, hey, fuck you, I'm not going to pass to you.
Yeah.
Just for the comedy aspect of it.
I feel like there's always another piece of evidence that justifies that decision, and then you can't say it's a stupid decision because it's like, look at what happens when he does pass it. Like, we also had at least one cross. There's been, I feel like the last like 3 or 4 games, there's been at least one Bouanga like perfect cross to nobody.
Yeah.
Like, so what's he gonna do?
Yeah.
And then like Opoku's busy being like a completely neutral non-factor. Like, what is he supposed to do?
I think that would be my counter argument. If Bouanga is playing to the level that he can, if Mahala is just playing, I mean, yeah, he's absent for most of the time. If Carlos Vela is stepping up his level, do you still need a striker? Like, I understand strikers score goals. We need goals. Goals change games. But and I think you put up the comment earlier, I think from Tim, like it was working before. So like, what has changed? Like, so if you get a striker, is that a stopgap? Because then what happens when now I have this number 9 striker who I know strikers, a couple strikers, they're temperamental bunch. What happens when you want to go back to your winger, your winger formula, or all 3 guys are firing in? I'm not saying these are definitive answers, but these are just things to think about why soccer is just, it's the worst sport. Let's just admit it, guys. It's the worst.
I think my point of view is that we need someone who either Opoku or not Opoku in that position to be pulling more weight. And that will unlock Bouanga having a little bit of heat off of him, being able to show that he can pass when there is a trustworthy move to make.
Yeah.
And Vela can have some, like, you need to spread the pressure around a little bit to be able to make all that possible.
My biggest thing, because I'm just pedantic in this way, is like it just needs to be someone that scores. We need extra goal scoring or creativity, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a striker. So that's where I bristle at it. But that's
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
that's just because I'm a dork.
I will say, we've had so many crosses in the last couple games just either go over the top of the net or get whiffed or whatever. Like, having someone who knows how to fucking toe poke a goal in would be very nice right now. Like, we've had chances. And we've just, like, our expected goals are very high in most of these games. We just can't fucking finish. And we just seem sloppy and not creative at the moment. We've had Joey waiting since we started. So I want to make sure we bring Joey.
Joey, thank you for being so patient.
I didn't think you guys were going to bring me on since I'm actively driving.
Oh, no, that's exactly why we brought you on.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm so glad that we could do this.
Crash into Jeff?
And it looks like the exact same position, maybe the same car as Jeff.
Yeah.
This is wild.
Wait, yeah, are you?
I was
Wait,
going to marvel at the fact it's the same shot, but that's just like when your phone.
I know. I want to show there's nobody in the passenger seat.
Okay. Do not pick up your phone. Don't touch your phone while this is happening.
Okay.
Okay.
You have no reason to look at us. You have no reason to look at us.
No, nor you and I. Well, I mean, same shit that you guys are all talking about. I appreciate Vince and his pedantry that he's, letting us know it doesn't have to be a striker, but it does have to be like somebody who can fucking score a goal. My athlete's foot is I used to have season tickets for the Rose Bowl for UCLA football. So it was kind of nice and weird. I have to say the cookies were off the chart, but I also got a little worried that they were like fattening up the LAFC fans with buckets of cookies. Because I don't know, I felt a little low-key, but...
Well, Joey has fallen off. He spoke about cookies and immediately crashed into a tree. Let's...
Oh, man. Well, Joey, you're welcome back if you make it back.
Let's go some happy foots and sad foots. We haven't done the bullshit that this show is based on. Some happy foots that I want to just say right off the bat. The tifo that the Galaxy did made me laugh so hard.
That's a solid happy foot.
There was someone tweeted that it was dandruff coming off it. Like something was falling off the tifo. It was like
the paint.
Asbestos.
Yeah, asbestos. And then it ripped in half.
Well, then they kept going. I love that the little corner just kept going. They're like, fuck it, go to the top. Do your job. Not our fault.
It ran away from the rest of the tifo.
It just also was not, there was no camera angle that made it clear what it was either. Like it just was dumb in general.
Yeah, I never even registered in my mind what it was supposed to be depicting even. It was kind of like a weird, I want to say like, my mind goes to like side of a gas station mural kind of illustration.
It's like James Dean and Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, we all like the Galaxy in this neighborhood.
Some of the bad Kobe murals. Like I know why there's all the Kobe murals, but some of them are bad. People did a bad job with those Kobe murals.
Yeah.
And then Ilie Sanchez getting his first goal as an American citizen on the 4th of July. A beautiful
that is pretty cool.
American story that, just like America, is disappointing in the end.
Yep. All of the promise and potential, and yet
really gives you some hope.
Scored by a naturalized immigrant.
Right. Man. Unfortunately, also, Ilie Sanchez, 2 on the nose.
I don't know what it looked like on TV, but from a fan perspective, at least in our section, overwhelming support for LAFC at the game. The Galaxy obviously had a bunch of flags, which made their section seem more lively than it was, and their drum was quite loud. But I really do like looking on the 3252 and the Galaxy. It was obvious that there were many more passionate LAFC supporters than Galaxy. But there were a lot of Galaxy supporters. Don't get me wrong, but I was very impressed by the black and gold's turnout.
Yeah, me too. They and 3252 brought it. Not that was in question. The supporter section, I think, was a little bigger and stronger and louder for sure. Not by a ton, but definitively. Yeah, we were a little bit toward the Galaxy supporter side and could still hear 3252 louder. Except for those, they chose the most annoying drum in the Galaxy supporter section to just go all day because they didn't have the vocal. I don't know. This is feeling pathetic that I'm just complaining about the supporter section at this point because that's all we've got.
Any other happy foots or sad foots from Vince or Jeff?
Happy foot if you had the over-under that Taylor Twellman was going to say, it's a historic turnout of 82,000 for like the 100th time on TV. Like they bang that. And it's like, dude, I get it. but also I can see it. I have eyes. There's a lot of people in that building.
Yeah.
I don't need you to continue to do that. The sad foot for me was just I bristle at saying effort because I'm not in their heads and I don't know what's going on. But like the first half defending was so bad.
Yeah.
And it was everywhere. It was not just Dueñas. Like guys could not even get close to them. It was so bad. And yes, they changed it in the second half, but the amount of energy they had to expel just to get to level is exactly why Ricky Puig runs through the entire team. Like Ricky Puig is not this like physical specimen that is some kind of lightning bolt that loves to run even. I mean, Ricky Puig doesn't like to move. And he was able to run past literally half the team. And I think a lot of that came
So
down
was
to
Raheem Edwards. That's a good indication that it's not Ricky Puig.
Oh, yeah.
Raheem Edwards, that one time he crossed up half our team. And I was like, don't you guys remember this guy? What are you doing?
I do love that Raheem beat 2 guys. He looked up and goes, no one? Okay, let me try to beat 3 more guys.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that was rough. I remember in like the 64th minute looking up, and I wrote it in my notes. I was like, these guys look real. They look done. Like they're tired.
Mm-hmm.
They'd already expelled everything they had at that point, it felt like. And so, yeah, it's not good. I feel like that has been a pattern lately where like, it's like, oh, we're a second half team, but then you don't have all of the second half of juice in the tank. So you can't spend so much time, like the entire first half, just figuring out what to do and then only have half the second half to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we just looked slower in all aspects. Like we couldn't keep up with them anytime there was a run in the open field.
In the beginning toward the beginning of the game, the Galaxy choked like 4 times. They could have had like 4 goals.
I think John McCarthy had a good game. I think John McCarthy played really, really well. There was that opening save where it was him one-on-one with Ricky Puig that he just like poked it away from him, which is a very difficult and smart thing to do. I always say that he makes dumb decisions, and I think he made some really smart decisions yesterday.
Yeah, he seemed to be putting in some extra effort that went beyond a lot of other. I don't know. I don't like commenting on effort because it's like, of course they're putting in all that they've got. Like, what other mode
athletes.
is there? Right.
Do you think it's a confidence thing or a fatigue thing or both? Like, do you think they're in their heads at all at this point?
Oh, for sure, both.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys pointed to it with Bouanga. You have Mahala not passing the ball. Like, I think we'll find out more about it at the end of the year, just because the way that athletes are built. Like, you can't harp on it, but I think no matter what, whether we result in an MLS Cup victory, win a Sports Shield, or take any kind of trophies, I think at the end of the season it'll be interesting to talk with these guys and understand just how much it hurt to lose the Champions League final. Like, there's a reason why these are supposed to be at the end of the season, because you're supposed to go away, go on vacation, and just deal with it. But they couldn't. They literally had to turn around and play, 4 days later? Yeah. And then, so that's, I think, and again, see, what's interesting is these are ways that we can actually, the 4 of us as non-professional athletes, relate to these guys, yet we still go, fuck them. They should suck it up and deal with it. and it's so funny that we're like, oh, you're tired and you're disappointed? I've never been that in my life. Why don't you deal with it?
That's true.
I was mad at the front office. I was not mad at the players. The players seem to be giving it their all. I'm mad that we don't have everything score goals. That's different.
Yeah. I'm mad at Don Garber.
Joey has both fixed his technical issues and brought his dog on.
He found a dog.
I found
Welcome
a dog
back to the show.
I got off the road. Thank you. Oh, look at that. This is now a good online gathering.
The dog
more than
cast.
one dog. Yeah.
Joey, any happy foots or sad foots from the game?
Well, I was saying like a bit of an athlete's foot. To return to the Rose Bowl, because I used to have season tickets there. I actually am a little sad I didn't go and look for. We have like one of the bricks out front dedicated to my late father. But that being said, it was weird being at the Rose Bowl. I wrote it in the comments, like their tifos are so bad. I'm almost at the point of just like wanting to help them out on behalf. Like the 3252 like needs to show them how to do a proper tifo.
Yeah, that would be
sweet. It is pretty funny. We get razzed around the league. Everybody is so sure that we use professionals, and it's like, no, we can show you proof, but we go out there and paint those things by fucking hand. It was, I don't know, it was a whole thing. There were a lot of cookies, and I think the cookies were good, but I was briefly paranoid foot that they were trying to like fatten us up and slow us down by feeding LAFC fan cookies.
Yeah. I didn't see the cookies.
Laced with fentanyl.
Yeah. I didn't see the cookies. I saw a donut truck.
Yeah, I saw donuts.
And I didn't see Doghouse until I was outside of the Rose Bowl. But yeah, it was a logistical nightmare, and it usually is at the Rose Bowl. I ended up walking like in parts of Pasadena that I never intended to walk in.
Yeah, there was a weird. I said,
Beautiful
like,
city.
I understand why they're separating the supporter groups, but there was a weird thing where, like, we came in a side entrance. It wasn't even the main entrance, and we watched two Galaxy fans who waited in line for like 45 minutes to get in, get turned away at the gate when it was a neutral gate. Like, it was I felt very bad that they had to do that. I don't know if it was like the security guard just didn't know what was what, but we were not in that south end gate. We were on the side. We were in gate D.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel bad for the Galaxy for beating us, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, stadium ingress and regress talk, just really riveting stuff.
That's what you come to this podcast for.
Yeah, exactly.
I would almost feel bad if we got revenge on the Galaxy, and like the next time that we see them back at BMO, I really do hope that we thump them thoroughly, like 5 or 6-0 would be really satisfying. But I'm not going to feel bad about that. They deserve it. We definitely should come at them. It was nice in the pregame that Giorgio was really trying to put to bed all of the Payaso rivalry, but I still think we're gonna eat that shit up. Like, Giorgio knows better, but he's a good man, and I don't know, the team interviews have been increasingly good. Vince, I appreciate you're one of the interviewers who usually puts a good question to Stevie C or the players, and I also was really glad to see Steve looking pissed off. He said it, he said he was fucking pissed, and it's like, okay, good. We're no longer dispassionate. We're no longer saying, oh, we're a great team, we're a victim of circumstances. Like, no, we're unhappy again. It sucks to lose. So fuck that. And
That's
rant.
it, yeah.
I'm not as good as Jeff.
No.
I'm not as good as Jeff. Jeff is
I don't know,
much more.
We've
I
got
think
two
you-
solid rants on the show already. This
I
is
think
great.
you landed the dismount there. Really just nailed it.
This is great. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I want to get some other people to who are waiting to be able to get back on the show. So I'm gonna, unless Jeff, do you have any parting words that you want to leave us with? You haven't gotten a chance to talk in a while.
Funny, you guys. I think it's great that we sold out. Like, I know it's like corny that we talk about it so much, but like having 82,000 people at that game is immense, and also the ability that maybe this means we can go to the Coliseum or we can go to SoFi next year, and we can make this a thing where we have these El Travicos in these big places. We can make it an event for American soccer, for Southern California soccer. I think is like unironically super cool and like makes me excited to be a LAFC fan. And then I just think it's really important that we all focus on it's not always a comedy podcast. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you so much, Jeff.
I get to include myself.
Okay, it seems like we gotta.
Wow.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. Can't
Jeff,
hear what you're saying.
We lost him. Oh, too bad he can't. It looks like that was really bad technical difficulties. He's never going to be able to come back on the show.
You'd think we'd have this remote thing sorted out,
Yeah,
I know. And he
the technology just never
like
there. Thanks, Elon.
I wonder what else he can't figure out.
Somehow
Okay,
it's
so let's bring Daniel back onto the show.
I wonder what else he can't figure out. Hi, Daniel.
Daniel, welcome back to the show.
Daniel, can you take that word out of your name, please?
What?
The bad word that's in your name. Would you mind taking it out, please?
Sure. I don't know how to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's all not talk about it. Daniel, how are you?
I'm numb. I don't.
Sure.
Yeah. Fuck the Galaxy.
Okay.
I'm sorry if that word is offensive, but I won't talk about it. First of all, happy foot. It's great that we got 80,000 people in the Rose Bowl seeing an MLS game. It highlights the growth of soccer in this country, and I think I'm optimistic that it's going to keep growing throughout the decades, coming years. I think this sport is on a trajectory to the top. But anyway, Sadfoot, there is all of it. Basically, I'm not panicking yet, but we have to hit the concern button because this is not good. This is not looking good. We just can't score, and it's not fun. It's not fun to watch. And there was several moments like, dude, you got to put that in. And Travis, you were right. Denny Bouanga, I have to call him out. It's just the last month or so. He's just been he's just not doing it. And I think more than anything, this is a confidence issue. It's not necessarily motivation. I think the guys are motivated. They want to win. It's just it's that CCL final. it just broke their spirit. And mixing with the fatigue and the injuries, boom, you have a disaster. And I'm not really liking the buzz that's going on, like Max Breto saying like he doesn't expect us to make a signing. No, we got to make a signing. If we don't make a signing, the season's going to end in abject failure. We're gonna get tossed in the second round, because if we don't fix this issue, it's gonna bite us in the ass.
Yeah,
And
I do think I'm hoping that his I don't know anything about what the plans are. I'm hoping that maybe he was like, temper your expectations for a big name signing, but hopefully there'll be people coming in. But that's me being optimistic, because we need depth. Our depth isn't there. But Vince is right. We need to get rid of some folks first before we can consider it.
Yeah, my motto always is don't listen to Max. But that's just because that's just because I love him. That's just because I love Max Bretos, and I have to listen. You guys get to hear him just like in the edited versions. I get full uncut Max Bretos like 24/7. So you gotta imagine. Max you gotta imagine what my life is like.
Maybe we will be so lucky someday.
Well, Vince, do you get the sense that they're at least trying to bring in people?
Always. Look, the guy. Every time I talk to John Thornton and I say something that like is a slip up, he'll instantly correct me and be like, "Look, we don't just see the results and go, oh Vince, oh my God, we got to do something. Like we have a plan. We have a long-term plan, a medium-term plan, a short-term plan, and we always try to keep some options open in case something goes absolutely haywire." Now he may disagree how bad things are, because maybe he does have a lot more data, a lot more info into all this, but I guarantee you that if he's looking at it and going, yeah, we have a scoring problem, he's not going to just go, well, what can you do? They've got contacts. And I will say this, Max and I, we will make sure on our podcast, which will remain nameless. We don't have to talk about it here. Cause I hate plugs. We are going to be talking about the transfer window. We're actually going to have some people that are a little bit more on that side and actually doing some of the work.
Cool.
To come and talk with us about, to give people more of an idea, because I do, as I've said, no one cares about the results. Everyone just wants to know who's on their team, but maybe we should know a little bit more about how it happens, because I don't think it happens the way a lot of people think it happens.
Yeah. And we have I'll just say it now. I think maybe for next week's episode, it's either, I forget what week we'll have it, but we have an interview with Tom Bogert lined up, and I want to talk to him all about one, how this process works, and two, what he's hearing from LAFC from what he can tell us. So hopefully we'll get some news, and I'll trick him into giving us a scoop. But I think I'm good at, I'm sneaky.
Going on this show is really, you're getting put in the hot seat. It's a high pressure environment. We're really drilling you with the hard questions. I really don't envy anyone who really chooses to take on that challenge. So
Daniel, any happy foots or sad foots?
I just want to point out, look, it's kind of depressing going into the season the way we started. I literally thought we're gonna hit the treble, but now it looks like even MLS Cup is not guaranteed. But out of all the depression, I'm still optimistic. I'm predicting a late season surge. I think John Thornton is gonna sign someone. But happy foots, great that 80,000 people came on 4th of July. I actually hope this becomes a tradition going forward. I think the spectacle is spectacular, and I think there should be a big rivalry game. But the sad foots, everything, we're not playing well, we're fatigued, and most of all, we're not confident. It's just we got to sign people. This team needs a fresh reset mentally.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming, Daniel. And
yes,
you always have such smart opinions. So call back in whenever you want.
Thanks, guys.
all right.
I want to point out this comment real quick from Jason. Dude, compare Travis's background to everyone else. Can we go back to the wide? I think he's insulting the fact that I have this beautiful 19th century tapestry behind me. I don't know if you've ever been to France, Jason, but this is from France. Just because it's not centered doesn't mean.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
That really doesn't make the issue.
Has your chair been on an incline this whole time, or is that not centered?
It really, and it's like, what's funny is I think whoever installed it, we had a guy like a TaskRabbit do it. I think he must have did it at an angle, because it's definitely at an angle.
You paid someone to do this.
Oh yeah, you think I can do this shit?
Tapestries are heavy.
Travis,
maybe
I'll just
we
say
don't
this,
know.
I guess I believe in you more than you do, because I would have thought you could at least get a hammer and some nails.
Vince, you don't know me very well.
Yeah. Wow. That strike's got to end soon, huh?
French tapestries, dry clean jerseys, you bougie assholes. Yeah, I know. You guys are learning who I am. Yeah, I support the WGA, right?
I will say dry cleaning probably is the best way to keep your jersey. Like, let's do a little jersey talk. Wash them in cold inside out. Hang dry them. Don't ever put them in the dryer. And your jerseys will not. I see a couple of people every once in a while, good friends of mine. I go, why is your jersey so sad? As like stripes are coming off the shoulder.
My first few seasons of LAFC jerseys are all fucked up because I didn't know how to do it, and that's why I started doing dry cleaning. But this is good intel.
Yeah, dry, and also dry flat. Don't fold them because when those numbers fold on themselves, it's like fly paper.
Oof. Okay. All right.
This is good to know. This is good stuff.
Hey, we already talked about how you get in and out of the Rose Bowl. We might as well talk about how to clean your jersey.
Did we miss anything? I mean, obviously, it's not a fun conversation to have. Darren, what do you have in your notes?
Yeah, we keep avoiding getting into it. I do have more notes, but I mean, okay, there are a few things. I'll give you a little menu because we're winding down at this point. But a few things that I remember writing down, and I think a lot of people might be have mentioned this too. The Bogusz came in late. And it feels like he's been on the right trajectory. He's been playing really well. I think starting him would have been an option. Subbing him in much earlier would have been an option. I was upset that it took so long for him to come in. But I don't know. I don't know the overall game plan. I don't know how he would have worked into it.
Yeah,
but
tactically, what was the thought there, Vince? Because Bogusz, I feel like, has been our best player in the last month and a half. He's been really, really good.
Yeah, but ultimately you start with, like, if I would have told you just, before you saw the result, before the way it played out, I'm like, hey, Ilie, Tillman, Acosta, they're starting. You guys would be like, totally take it. And then the tactical change was to get some more pressure. And as much as Bogusz is good, he has put on maybe more minutes on his legs and also doesn't totally understand the scheme of pressing as much as Sifu does, who I actually thought was very good coming into the game. And that was the change. Steve put in Sifu for Kellen because he was like, look, we have to get some pressure on the ball. And they did. I just think that Bogusz right now, and as we talk about comings and goings, like his best position is also Sifu's best position. And so he sent on Sifu. It worked out. Yeah. You then get Bogusz a little bit later on. But if you wanted Bogusz, it just wasn't going to work in the way you wanted to kind of change the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why you ask these questions.
Yeah. An uproar in the comments brings up a good point, which is that Ilie, Tillman, and Acosta starting was undefeated until last night. It's our first time we lost. But I will say that it was clear that Acosta was not at 100% and came out at halftime for that. So I don't know if we can, statistically that'll be, that is over, but I wouldn't say that was them at their full strength. Darren, you saw a fight in the bathroom.
Yeah, Travis is mentioning, if you're just listening.
How did we not lead with that?
Tim Morgan, his comment is on the screen. Happy Foot, no supporter groups fights on TV last night from the game. This was definitely not on TV because it was in the bathroom, but I did witness a fight.
Give us the play-by-play. What exactly happened?
Blow by blow. Let's go.
I mean, this is going to get kind of dark. It was a bad scene.
Was it?
The results weren't terrible. It was like,
I've unfortunately encountered, because this was actually, I'll tell you what, this was the first bubble game where people could be there that I have not. I've been to every single Galaxy LAFC game, and this was the first one I stayed watching at home. But Darren, I can definitely attest to when you see it, you just feel, it's not like it's like, oh yeah, guy punched another guy. Oh, crazy. It's like you walk out of there and you're like, I need a shower. This is dark. There's just something there is. And it's something that I've hammered on a little bit to people because ultimately I love this game. I love it so much. And I've, dedicated my life to it in ways, but I cannot relate to some of the things that happen in these moments. People with families fighting, you literally, there's kids crying, and you're seeing the dads go at it.
Darren, tell this story.
This is what happens.
Yeah, you forget how violent violence is until you see it.
It wasn't that. See, on the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a big fight. It was just I was using the bathroom, so I missed what started it. But then these guys were screaming at each other. I caught the end where I just saw this guy still taunting at the guy he just fought with, and tensions were still really high. There's like a huge crowd of people in the bathroom, like trying to calm it down. And then he turned back toward me, and I see his entire shirt is completely ripped. And he was still like really heated. And I was like, this guy's on one. But then he takes his daughter back from some other guy who must have been carrying her during the fight, and is like holding his daughter, and she's crying. It was awful.
Oof.
And then he just like went. He still had to go to the bathroom. He hadn't gone yet. So then he was just like going to the bathroom. It's just like, geez,
that's so funny. It's like I really got pissed. My shirt is ripped off, but I really got a piss.
It's just like, and it's also whenever something like that happens, it's like you also see the overwhelming majority of everyone else around them just being like, "This is a terrible thing. This is a terrible idea. Why is anyone doing this?" Like, it's always like 99% to 1%, and it's like, what are you doing?
It's such a weird impulse too, because this team makes me so happy and upset, and I get so into it, and I feel it so personally, but like never in a million years would I be like, well, if that guy is yelling at me, I'm going to punch him. I don't like, it's just not part of my brain. I don't know.
That we just
let
like
him yell
different
at me.
soccer teams. Like what is this about?
Yeah. Humiliate them on Twitter instead. That's the
yeah.
Maybe it's because the 2 fights I got in my life I lost, and so my impulse has moved away from that.
It's not a good strategy. The pen is mightier.
One fight I got into when I was in 8th grade, a 7th grader was making fun of me for my speech impediment and was calling me Travis. And he did it so often that I finally was like, fuck, let's fight. And then he kicked my ass.
Wow.
So he won both ways. Although he went to jail for punching his mom later in life. So I think I won in the end, Patrick.
Jeez, buried the lead there.
Wow. Can we get even darker? Let's go. Let's see what we can do. How much further can we go?
Ivan the Creator says the classic "hold my daughter" before a fight.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah.
Bad scene. Talk about Pooge. You know, I don't know if he's a Galaxy troll. I don't want to talk about Pooge. He absolutely destroyed us.
Well, he's very good, and look, and he's a talented player. He's a very talented player. He's a good player. But like, if you give anyone that kind of time and space, they're gonna look like Ricky Pooge. And in the first half, he was incredible. Second half, he's a passenger until we run out of legs. Like, that just goes to show you the kind of the difference in how simple the game can be sometimes. I mean, you can get pressure to a guy. He's not going to be as instrumental. He's not like, that's the funny thing is it's not funny because ultimately he gets to carry the spoils of this, but like everyone's being like, look, he just wanted it more. That is like the last thing that people would say about Ricky Pooge up until this moment is he wanted anything more. I mean, he literally played his way out of Barcelona because he did not want it more. So it's just, that's kind of sad that LAFC kind of now has put him on that pedestal, and they're gonna have to try to knock him down the next time they play because they're gonna coast off that for a while. Like how many times can the LAFC save the Galaxy season?
Yeah, truly. And we're always like, could this turn it around? And it's like, no, they only care about this one game.
Yeah.
And they it's obvious that they gear up for this one game. And Ricky Pooge was really upset that he got called a clown for being excited and wanted to prove us wrong. And guess what? He had a storybook ending. Like, as people who like stories, that was a very narratively clean game for Ricky Pooge, who proved us wrong. And it wasn't fun to see. And it was a great run where he outran Erik Dueñas, who was out of position. But what can you do? What can you fucking do? Anything else before we start wrapping it up? My dog is snoring in case anyone hears it on the microphone.
Well, that's a ringing endorsement of how well we've done on this podcast. So I think it's a good time to just call it a day.
Maybe Jeff was right. This is not a comedy podcast.
Jeff, it's possible that's true, but it's still, there's got to be a way for that to be true, but Jeff to not be right.
Right.
J140 says, by the way, this is Carson's 4th win in MLS this season. Oof. I don't know if that's good or bad. Tyson, what do you have to say? Tyson is now on camera if you're just listening. Okay.
No?
That was Tyson's happy foot.
Hold on.
Well, that's 2 dog sightings on the show. So hopefully satisfying for somebody. Before we take us out, I want to force Vince to do some plugs, if you will. Where can we are getting you pre takeaway publishing? Is this correct? Is this true for this morning?
This is true. I literally was proofreading before this.
We got the sneak
yeah,
on this one, but
you did, and I definitely shared some of
thing.
Yeah, read the full thing. I did. I didn't go into too much detail on what the takeaways are, but it's vincelarosa.substack.com, or they will eventually be up on LAFC.com. So either place you want to read them, go for it. And then the aforementioned Max and Vince podcast will probably be recording tomorrow. And we'll be talking about this game too.
Great.
I also want to say to Micah Gutierrez in the comments, I'm sorry. He came to our section last night trying to find us to give him his scarf that he purchased, and we didn't have good service, so I missed his message back to us before until we left the stadium. So I'm sorry, Micah. I promise to make it up to you next time we see you at the stadium. I apologize. Sorry for making you walk around that entire venue to find us.
Oof, we all walked enough.
Yeah. That's a good. We just put a good capper on there. Started Darren talking about walking, and then talking about walking. Yeah. There we go.
It was fun to drive my car on a golf course. It was really. It's like a dream to drive a car on a golf course. I feel like it was very fun.
That is fun.
All right, this was a good way to end. Vince, thank you so much for always coming on. You're always so much smarter than us, and gave us actual insight. So thank you.
Always.
Yes, we've been missing it. All right,
we love you. Everyone.
For joining the show. Thank you for being in the comments. Thanks for sticking with us and for sticking with the team, I guess. I mean, we have no choice. It's just in our bones.
If you want to become a Galaxy fan, I get it.
We were talking about how we should start a new thing on the podcast to do some kind of subliminal secret thing to try to convert Galaxy fans over like very slowly over time.
We should just do a persuasive one episode that's like what you send to your Galaxy fan friend.
Yeah.
That's just like, hey man, you don't got to tell anybody. Like, it's cool. We know that we're better.
little toe in the water. Yeah. Anyway, that's just our larger project. Okay. So everyone, thanks for tuning in.
Everyone hit the like button. We always forget to tell people to do that. Hit the like button.
Subscribe to the show. Become a patron if you're really into it. Thank you for all the support. We'll see you soon.
I love you all. See you at BMO, baby.
Love you. Bye.
Against a rival? What?
Bye.
I don't give a shit about